After my personal struggle with food left me sick and suicidal, I was struck with the realization that food alone can't fix us. So I set out to discover what could, and what I found changed everything. After coaching thousands of clients and interviewing the world's leading experts, I realized it was time to start a bigger conversation. What are you really hungry for?
It's great.
Ooh, good one.
What am I really hungry for?
I love that question.
It's time to discover what you're really hungry for. This episode is brought to you by the Institute of Transformational Nutrition. ITN offers the first and only personalized nutrition certification program that's backed by science and proven to get clients actual results and coaches actual income. If you're ready to be proud of what you do, feel like you matter, make a difference in someone's life, and actually get paid for it, then visit transformationalnutrition.com to take your first class toward your certification for free. Every time we look in the mirror, we're confronted by our own face. We see our freckles, our smile, the wisdom in our eyes. Unfortunately, many women are only able to focus on their imperfections. They can only see the ways that they don't measure up, only the flaws on their face, the skin problems or the acne scars from when they were young, the wrinkles, the sun damage. Maybe you can relate. And what happens is that they basically feel like they lose their worth because they can only see the flaws. They can only see what's wrong. Leo Tolstoy said, "What a strange illusion it is to suppose that beauty is goodness." It's really unfortunate that so often in our society, we equate beauty with goodness. We feel that we are only as good as we are beautiful. But I know that beauty goes much deeper than this, that beauty is a matter of what's beneath the surface. It's about what's going on inside of a woman, in her heart, in her soul. The bottom line is our physical beauty does not define us and what we do in this world. We need to focus more on our gifts, our talents, and what we're meant to do so that we can bring forth the full depths of ourselves into the world. We need to elevate our view of beauty to include the whole person, to see the beauty of a woman at her core. We need to choose to value the genius that lives inside of each of us and really see just how gorgeous people who have amazing ideas and inspiring spirits truly are. When we shift our view of beauty to include the whole person, to include everything that makes up a person and makes her tick, to everything that she does and every role that she feels, we see a beauty that isn't about what a person looks like on the outside, but rather it's about what a person does in the world. And ultimately, we are as beautiful as we decide to be. Sophia Loren said, "Nothing makes a woman more beautiful than the belief that she is beautiful." So what can we do to focus on the beauty in each of us? How can we begin to shift the conversation and create a space where we appreciate and honor the beauty of each and every person on the planet? It begins with you and me. We have to decide that everyone has worth, regardless of the way they look. We have to make a commitment to seeing past people's looks and seeing into their core value, seeing who they are and what they take a stand for, seeing the impact that they make on people's lives. Because looks fade and we all get old. And when we're old, all we'll have is the beauty in our hearts and souls to connect with one another. So why not start now? My guest today is Trevor Cates, a licensed naturopathic physician. Known as the Spa Doctor, she's developed products and programs to help women achieve glowing skin, experience vibrant health, and discover their beauty from the inside out. So we're talking about a very big topic today, a very beautiful topic, we'll say, and that's all around, it has to do with beauty. You know, and really finding and defining beauty as something bigger than our outward appearance, right? Yeah. And obviously you're a very beautiful woman. So talk to me about what beauty means to you.
Well, you know, it's interesting that you say that, because even still, I feel like when somebody says I'm beautiful, I'm like, really? You know, and it's funny because when I grew up as a kid, where I grew up, I was surrounded by beautiful people. I grew up in a beautiful family. And these two sisters, older sisters, absolutely gorgeous, models, acting, all these things. And so I thought I was the ugly duckling. And so I never thought I was beautiful. So when I was younger, I also had a lot of skin issues. So I had itchy rashes and what the kids called me chicken skin. And, it was kind of a tough time, especially as a teenager and things. It was awkward. I felt like the ugly duckling.
Yeah.
And so I just went to my books and I studied more, and I was like, I'm not beautiful, but I'm going to be smart, and I went down the path of becoming a doctor. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that beauty is not just what you see here. I mean, of course there is aesthetic beauty.
Sure.
But a lot of beauty comes from within.
Yeah. But we don't see that beauty, I mean, and when I say we, I mean our society. And I think it's funny, your story is really interesting. I grew up sort of the same, but a little bit different. Like, I was never the pretty girl. I was never the cute girl. I was always sort of awkward. I never really fit in my own body. And like you, I had, the terrible skin. Like, mine was acne breakouts. And even my family would be like, just go scrub your face until it comes off. And I remember I would do that. I was so heartbroken, and I felt so bad about myself. And it was my face, and it wasn't like I could put a sweater on, and cover that up. And I remember many times just being so completely crushed and so completely heartbroken and thinking that I wasn't pretty and that I wasn't enough. And I remember just taking a washcloth and just scrubbing until it hurt, like there would be sores on my face, to try to get that off, so that I could be beautiful.
People see me all the time with skin issues, and they talk to me, they tell me these terrible stories about their confidence just going down the drain because of their skin, because it's the first thing that people see, or one of the first things we see when we meet someone. And certainly as a doctor, it's one of the first things I look at my patients to see how healthy they are. Yeah. It's like, look at their skin, and because that is a great indication of our overall health. And I think for human nature, it's how one of the ways people are judged, is how they're seen. And so people with skin issues, it's so hard to look in the mirror and see that. And I also think that we're so critical of ourselves. When we look in the mirror, we see things that other people don't notice.
I love that. And what you said is true. Once we see past the physical person and we can go deeper, we do discover gifts and talents, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is we so often don't get to that level in someone because of the physical barrier, if you will. Do you find that to be true?
Yeah, I think it is true. And I think that, we look at magazines and we watch TV shows and we see what we think are perfect looking women or men or people this is what we're supposed to look like, where actually these people are airbrushed and not really wearing a lot of makeup and things. So, but I think back to the way I grew up with, like I said, this beautiful family of women. And one of the things that I realized over time is that one of the reasons why the women in my family are so beautiful is so much more than just physical. Yeah. It's this level of confidence and knowing your place in life. And so that's what I found was what was beautiful for me, and how I started to appreciate my own beauty in a different way, is that I found my purpose. I found what I wanted to do in life. I wanted to be a naturopathic doctor, and I wanted to be the spa doctor. I wanted to help people. And once I found that was one of the things that helped me realize that there are a lot of different ways to be beautiful. I started thinking about the other women in my life, and I thought, wow, some of the most beautiful women I know are in their 70s and 80s.
You said we're so critical on ourselves, and it would be great if we could all see that inner beauty that we have. And it's very difficult for us, right? To do that. Is the first step in connecting with the beauty that's inside of us, and maybe even seeing the beauty inside of others, is that first step recognizing your purpose, knowing that you're here for a bigger reason? Is that how we access that?
I think that's a big part of it. I think that's ultimately, I think that's what we're hungry for. I really do. I think if we can find be in alignment with what uplifts us. Why are we here? What is our purpose? What is happening? And if we can be in that flow, sort of, then I think that helps. And again, I still think there's so much we can do with diet and even skincare to help people with skin issues. But a lot of that glow that people are looking for, it doesn't just right here, it's actually inside. And then also, when we are stressed about our appearance and we're freaking out about it, it creates all these imbalances with our hormones and our neurochemistry. And then we're not sleeping as well, and then we know sleep is good for our skin. So I think that the first step is finding that, connecting with that, whatever that is. And I know it's not always easy to get there. Sometimes it takes a while to figure out what it is. But I think once you get in line with that, it creates a sense of calm and peace that makes us stop being so critical.
I love that. What role, and just, I want to be really clear here. We're not saying, like, don't be beautiful. We're not saying you shouldn't want to look good and feel good about your appearance. We're not saying that, right? I just want to make that really clear. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look beautiful. I mean, you have amazing products that I love, and they make me feel beautiful, and that makes me feel good about myself. That's okay, right? We're not trying to take that away from women. Women should be women. We should feel beautiful and feminine. So I think it's really important that we make that point. I think the conversation, though, is just bigger than that. And what we're talking about here, like, your products make me feel better about myself, right? They give me some sort of value. But how else can we get that, other than, running out and getting your stuff and feeling better right away? What are some other ways that we can start to feel that value that gives us that feeling of being beautiful and that confidence that you spoke about?
I think affirmations are a great place to start. Sometimes I'll take lipstick and I'll write them on the mirror.
Really?
Yeah, I'll just write them, so you're looking right at them.
That's so great.
I think affirmations are great, and you create something that you believe in. You don't want to create, you don't want to write, I am beautiful, and not believe it. You want to create something that is a great place to start. I mean, some people will write, I am enough, because that's where they are right now. Finding that path that you're meant for, why are you here? That's the next thing. But this is just like a baby step, right?
Because that's a big, some people spend their whole lives trying to figure that out and still don't. It's a big conversation. So, but starting with the baby steps, I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that physical beauty and us having this longing for physical beauty is us overcompensating for the things that we feel like we lack inside?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I definitely think so. And I think that once we're at peace, we see a different person in the mirror.
Yeah. So I think it's important to point. I said when we started this interview, like, you're obviously very beautiful. I think it's one thing to hear you, and clearly you're such an expert on beauty and finding this inner beauty and this inner wisdom and inner knowing. But I think maybe some people might look at you and go, well, Trevor, it's really easy for you to say that. When you are beautiful, it's really easy to just to have this bigger conversation, about finding the inner beauty if the physical beauty isn't there according to you. How would you respond to that?
I was a rugrat. I really was. I was like tomboy, dirty, never brushed my hair. I think that we all have this perception of who we are and who we can be. Yeah. And I think it's a matter of looking at ourselves differently, like I said, being happy with who we are, finding that inner glow, that inner confidence, and that's really what's going to shine. You think back to high school and the popular kids, the pretty girl and the popular boy. Yeah. They weren't always the people you'd think would be in the magazine. They're not that beautiful, but they were charismatic, and they were fun, and they were easy to be with and talk to and funny. Yeah. They may not have been that attractive, but everybody kind of followed them because they were, more of that what's inside and how they show up in the world. And I'm just giving that as an example, but we see that on a day-to-day basis. It's you can have a beautiful person. They can look physically beautiful, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the person that is going to get the job, that's going to get, the best wife or husband or whatever.
Right.
It's more of a package thing.
You said, just be happy with who you are. I think that's really interesting. And again, I think it's easy for us to say these things, right? And for example, like when I first saw you today, I was like, wow, you look beautiful, you look so great, and you do, right? But it was almost as if there was a deflection, and you're like, oh, well, and we all do that. I do it too, all the time, right? I think it's just human nature to be like, you would never be like, I know, look at me, I look so good, girl. Like, we just don't do that, right?
But maybe we should.
But maybe we should.
You look hot.
I know, right? Like, I'm really feeling me right now. Like, serious, I'm feeling myself. Yeah. But what if we did, Trevor? What if we started to own that? What if because we're so worried about what people will think, right? Like, I don't say that because I don't want people to think, oh, who does she think she is, But what if we did? What if we just got really honest with ourselves and we accepted that? Even if we didn't feel it, what if we just said, thank you? What if we start that simple?
Yeah, I agree. I think... And I've taught my girls to to say thank you, like feel that, enjoy that, take that in for a moment and feel it.
Yeah. It's funny with my little 5-year-old, I'll say to her, I'll just say, Rain, you're so beautiful. And you know what she says? She goes, I know. And then it's just on to the next thing. Like she's not even concerned with like the physical appearance. And she is. Maybe we all think our children are beautiful, I don't know. But when I tell her that, that's her default response. I know.
Yeah, and how old is she?
5.
Yeah.
5.
And that's so great because kids, they're just like, okay, yeah,
right?
I am beautiful. And then when we get to be teenagers, I think it changes 9, 10, 11, 12. It just starts, 13, 14, it gets even more challenging.
Yes,
I think,
those years.
The peer pressure and comparing yourself to other people, I think that's where a lot of people get into trouble. They start comparing themselves.
At that pivotal age where we're starting to see that we're a little different, we don't look alike, we don't act alike, and we're sort of coming into our own and discovering who we are. When we hear those comments, I still remember, Trevor, things that people said to me when I was, like, still to this day, verbatim, I remember that, people say don't read the comments, but you heard it and it was very real for you, and we do carry that over. It sounds like what you're saying is, start to see the inside, start to discover your path. But what about those things that happen? What about those memories that we have? How do we let go of those things? How do we start to embrace who we really are?
Yeah, and I think that when we do get criticism, what I do is I look at it and I think, okay, well and this is what I try to do on my good days, right? I love
that you had this disclaimer on your good days. This is good.
Sometimes I have to work on this, but I see it as like, okay, well, that's criticism, and I'm going to look at that and see if there's any validity to it, and then I'm going to let it go because it's not going to serve me to hold on to that. Yeah. Right?
When you say see if there's any
validity, any truth to it. So if someone says to me, like maybe somebody will post a comment on my website and they'll say, that interview you did, you should have said this and this, or, and I'm like, okay, well, that's obviously a criticism to a certain extent, but is there any truth to it? Is there can I learn anything from that?
So you don't just dismiss it.
No, and that's why, because I wanted to clarify that because I talked about deflecting it, because I think that sometimes for criticism, we can learn something from it. If it does trigger, if the comment triggers, that gives you something to work on, something to think about, and because it's not always easy to just let criticism go.
Sure.
I have a master's degree in spiritual psychology, and one of the tools that they taught us was free-form writing and just forgiveness exercises. So you can write down all these negative thoughts that are coming into your head. So if somebody says something and it's sticking with you and you can't just let it go, you could just take out a piece of paper, or a whole bunch of paper, and start writing down.
You might need a few pages. You might need a notebook.
And just write everything that comes to mind, all the negative thoughts, and Don't read it, because this is a way of letting go of it. You just write as much as you want until you feel like you've gone through all the pages of all those negative thoughts, all that negative self-talk. And then afterwards, then you can shred it or burn it. And that a lot of times will get that out.
That.
And of course, therapy, I think, is really great too, but I think that this is something that's easy and it's free.
Yeah. You know, here's what I also love. I mean, those are such great tips, and they're practical, right? We can do that, because when someone says, well, just believe you're beautiful. Okay, like, done. That was it. Like, it's clearly not that easy, you know? But here's what we're doing that I love so much, and here's what you're doing, is we're bringing awareness. You're bringing awareness to the bigger conversation. And I think awareness is the first step for change. I think awareness can be that catalyst for change, because we're having this conversation, right? And hopefully it sparks more women, you know, it sparks their minds, or sparks ideas within them to have that conversation. And if we can all start talking about and looking for the other beauty that we have, then things start to shift, right?
I agree. And I think that we owe it to our daughters and our sons too, and to help them see how it can be, and to stop being so critical of ourselves in front of them. And those little comments that we make, they hear that, and they pick up on that, and they start creating this judgment, and they start looking at themselves differently. And so if we are more at peace with who we are and just let that stuff go, don't make those comments, just let it go as much as you can. And if you do make the comment, just try not to do it again. You know, don't kick yourself for doing it.
You know why I love that so much? It's because the things that we'll never do for ourselves, we'll do for our children. That's really good. It's a way to sort of slide that in for women. So the name of the show is What You're Really Hungry For. And I ask every guest that comes on, and I'm so excited to hear your answer. Trevor, what are you really hungry for?
I think it's such a great question, because when I first heard that thought, I thought, okay, well, I know that a lot of times I'll go into my kitchen when I'm hungry. And I'll think, am I really hungry? And because I'll reach for the chocolate. I love chocolate. It's my dark chocolate's my weak spot. And I'll reach for it, and like, do I really need that chocolate? Am I really hungry? Or is there something else that I'm really hungry for? And I realize when I'm doing that, when I'm reaching for those foods at that moment, what it is I'm really looking for is I feel like I'm missing something. Something is missing, and I'm trying to fill a void, right? By eating. And what that void usually is love. I mean, it really is. I feel like if I can find connection with other people, if I can maybe sit and meditate or fill that emptiness, because for me, that's what it is. I start to feel empty, and I feel like, maybe I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat something. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not really food that's empty and I'm trying to fill. It's like, I need love, I need connection, I need something else. And usually it's love. I mean, it could be something else. So I will call a friend. I'll get on the phone, call a friend. I'll connect with my kids. We'll tell a joke. We'll go out in nature. Those are some of the things that I do. I realize that is what I'm really hungry for, and that's what fills me.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. We're back to the beauty topic, brought that full circle. Yeah. Trevor, thank you so much for the wisdom that you shared here today, and for being that beautiful example inside and out, and really truly, helping women with the outside, but going beyond that and really truly helping them transform on the inside. You're an inspiration to me. I think you're an amazing, amazing woman. So thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Cynthia. Thank you for allowing me to have this conversation.
Yes, it's an honor, honor. This week is all about the internal beauty inside all of us. We discussed how you can stop feeling as though you have to look perfect to have value in our society. I invite you to choose one of Trevor's tips that she discussed during our show and start implementing it in your life today. What one step can you take to start honoring your internal beauty? What's one thing that you can do to start seeing the beauty inside of other people? As always, the conversation continues at cynthiapasquella.com. Head on over and leave a comment below this video telling me the one thing that you will do to own just how beautiful you are right now. Did you like this video? If so, please subscribe and then share it with your friends. And if you want to hear more from me, including things that I only share in email, then head on over to cynthiapasquella.com and sign up for my email newsletter so you can become a part of this beautiful community of women who are discovering what they're really hungry for. On next week's episode of What You're Really Hungry For.
Here's what you have to know. To not think about it like a Jew, I'm not being heard. No, understand the battle. This is the human battle. Everyone wants to feel safe, loved, and important.
Yeah.
We're all striving for that at every waking moment.
The Institute of Transformational Nutrition offers the first and only personalized nutrition certification program that's backed by science and proven to get clients actual results and coaches actual income. If you're ready to be proud of what you do, feel like you matter, make a difference in someone's life, and actually get paid for it, then visit transformationalnutrition.com to take your first class toward your certification for free.